Tigers are 5-1 in games Tarek Skubal starts. That's Dan Dickerson's call. 11-11 against everybody else without Skubal. That's what an ace does. Lifts you up. Tigers have 16 wins. Our expectation for the month of April was 16 wins. Still 2 games to go.
Boom.
John, let's get to people. Phones are lit up. People want to talk about the draft. People got places to be in the morning. Stephen Hartland, I'm sorry making you wait so long, buddy. You're on 97.1.
You guys are good. Great show. What I want to talk a little bit about the draft, and I'm just going to hit on a few points, is I think Holmes did a great job relevant to the past 2 years because of the pecking order, that he didn't have these real top picks, and how he maneuvered it with the players that he got defines that word we've been hearing around town, grit. Now, the first 2 corners, absolutely agree with, especially with that Arnold. I mean, the way he was supposed to be in the top 15, but getting to the end, the other picks, I know the one project, the guy out of Canada, that's going to be a project, but we'll see. And I don't think these are always best player available, but the guy that I'm really, really excited about, I jumped off the seat on Saturday night when I heard about it. One of your co-workers or hosts, I can't remember, a couple weeks ago, talked about this guy out of Utah, and he fits the perfect grit position and relevant to his versatility, and I think very well he could be on this team this upcoming year, and I'm looking so forward to the season already.
Sione Vaki is his name. Safety, running back out of Utah. A lot of people mocked him to the Lions just because football player. Find a way to get a football player on a football field. Special teams guy, I think that's an obvious statement. I think they could use him in kick coverage. I also think there's potential, John, with the new kick return. He was an explosive athlete at Utah. The Lions will have no shortage of options. They could use J-Mo, they could use Gibbs, but Vaki as a special teamer and a third-string running back, I thought maybe a little early, 4th round. But they like the player. That's maybe the only pick I really scratch my head going, did you trade up again into the 4th round for a running back?
Right.
Special teamer?
It's usually you're drafting guys for offense or defense, and then when they can also double as a special teamer. This, to me, seems, because there are 3 phases of the game. You got the offense, defense, and special teams. And special teams has almost as many plays as either side of the ball throughout the course of the game. So to draft a guy specifically for special teams, depth at the running back position, but whether it's a kick returner or it's kick punt coverage, it's not shocking that Brad Holmes would identify a guy that could be very similar when we talk about Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Now, I know he made a couple of plays at the end of the year on defense, but he was a special teams guy. And to your point, though, was 4th round a little bit high to draft a special teams guy? He's going to get a lot of play in special teams. You're just not going to see impact plays on offense or defense.
So the draft is more art than science, but just historically, guys who are special teamers typically go 6th, 7th round. End of the roster, find a way to keep a roster spot. Typically not the 4th round. Chris in Ypsilanti, you're on 97.1.
Hey, guys. Thanks for the call. I agree with John. I think Sione Vaki in the 4th round, I think he'll more than justify that pick and what we gave up to get up there just in a special teams play. I think he's going to be a special teams Pro Bowler. I am going to throw a little bit of cold water. I like this draft, but I think Brad took on a lot of risk. So trading up 5 spots in the 1st round, losing that 3rd rounder, and not getting a 4th or a 5th back, that's a lot of risk. And I think it puts a lot on Terrion Arnold's shoulders. And I think it also hurt Brad on Friday because he was trying to trade up from 61 and he couldn't because he didn't have the ammo. Now, we got a great player in Enos Rakestraw, and the long-term health of the DB room is excellent now. But the long-term health of the offensive line room is really, really shaky. Gio Manu's not going to play this year. He's going to be like Roderick Martin. He's a project, right? Mm-hmm. So right now your swing tackle is Dan Skipper, and I don't think any of us feel super comfortable with that. And then Christian Mahogany is a great player, but Tampa Bay took him off their board. Philly took him off their board. Those are good organizations. They're well-run organizations. I think the medical is more serious than we might know, and what the testing would suggest.
Are you talking the knee because he tore his ACL back, or is there something else I'm missing?
Yeah, he tore his ACL in 2022 during a home workout in a freak accident. I'm a little bit concerned that it's more of like Nick Chubb torn ACL as opposed to a Jameson Williams torn ACL. And so, he tested really well. Like, he played really well. But, like, if that knee is chronic, if that knee is degenerative, then you actually don't have a long-term answer at guard depth. And so, there's just a lot of risk here. And I like the draft. I like Sione Vaki. I like Enos Richter. I love Terrion Arnold. But there is risk here, and I think that we should just temper our expectations. Like, Terrion Arnold and Enos Richter might not start over Meek Robinson and Carlton Davis, which is fine. And Christian Mahogany might not be the player we want him to be. Mekhi Wingo is an excellent pick in the 6th round. For all of you guys who like Braden Fisk, Mekhi Wingo is Braden Fisk, but better. Like, he plays with better technique, better pad level, better hand usage. He's just as explosive. So that's an excellent pick. He's going to be a contributor on the D-line immediately as a depth piece. But there is a risk to the offensive line group, and I think Brad needs to do more work to secure the long-term success of that room.
So some of this is they weren't going to draft the guy this year to start this year. That was kind of obvious because they went out and got Zeitler, and they got Ragnow back at least for one more year. He didn't retire.
Yeah.
Both tackles, strength of the team. They've got their 5 up front. This was about long-term pieces, and there's no doubt that Manu is a long-term piece. Mahogany, John, you tore your ACL and came back and played.
No. Tore my Achilles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No ACLs. I had a MCL, PCL. I've done them all.
But not the ACL.
But not the ACL,
okay.
yeah.
So the other ligaments in the knee.
Yeah.
How big a deal was it?
I've had a lot of teammates, that have gone through the ACL reconstruction, and 20 years ago, it was a really big deal. Now, it's kind of like Tommy John in baseball, where will they come back? Now it's almost like a rite of passage. They come back stronger and pitch better. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be better for having had this surgery, but it's not as big of a concern in anybody in football circles that there's an ACL reconstruction.
And he came back and played all last year after.
Yeah.
Ask your boy, Mark Brunell, who you're buddies with.
Yeah.
He was one of the last guys who I thought was great in the NFL. Like, he was starting to look like a mini Steve Young, and he blew it out in camp, and he was never the same. And
right.
Since then, it seems like guys.
But we're also talking 20 years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, that has always been my gauge for guys. It seems like there's still guys that can't bounce back, but you're probably talking under 5%, under 3% at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and then you go to freaks of nature like Adrian Peterson, who's back in, 6 months? And you're like, how is that possible? Like, this dude was an absolute freak. So there's extremes on both ends, but when a guy has this happen, it's just like the Achilles. I did my Achilles. That used to be a career ender, and it depends on the position, but it's not viewed that in the same way anymore.
Yeah, it's Achilles, isn't it?
Achilles, yes. Yes, only on Wheel of Fortune.
Malachi, and we had a Desmonis reference today.
Desmonis, yes.
We're really rolling this morning. I think the most polarizing pick is probably the offensive lineman because you gave up a future third, and we saw Brad Holmes use a third to go up and get Arnold. We saw him use a third to go get Carlton Davis in the offseason. He used third-round picks to maneuver 3 different times in the last couple months here, and now he does not have one going into 2025. Is this player worth it? We need to carve out time for John Jansen to answer that question. It's 97.1.